Hey guys, it's been a long time. We have been on hiatus because Ghosts of Our Past got very personal, but I have an unbelievable guest with me today. Someone who transcends not just what comes off the screen, but someone that's going to be getting an Emmy, an Oscar at some point in the next year or so. I'm not even going to say her name yet because I need to build her up even more. She's on the left of me, but I need to say this. She literally took my breath away on screen. It's been very rare that I watch something on television, see someone's performance and think, this is real. This is happening in real time right now. I'm so invested. And I wanted to talk to her about not just the show, but just about how the parallels of being a Black woman, but mixed in with the horror genre, but mixed in with the actual horror of that show, not being the horror parts of the supernatural, but actually being Black in general and what it's like to use that horror in our lives. So I welcome Deborah Ayorinde. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now, there's so much to start with, but I need to go in first of all with you, just saying thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you, my audience. Sorry, Marsha couldn't be here because of the time difference. She is in LA and she's not getting up right now. It's not going to happen. So, but she'll meet up with you in LA. That's fine.
Yeah, please.
But first of all, thanks so much for bringing something so amazing to light, something so fresh, something so brand new. This show is about basically mine and my sister's life of being part of the paranormal, seeing things growing up. But there were so many things in that show that reminded us of things that happened to us as kids. So what I wanted to talk to you about was there any parallels when you read the script or anything you drew from in your own personal life that led you to say, I have the power to be able to play this role, because it's not an easy role to play?
I think for me, I drew from many experiences, my own, other people that I've, heard of. And I think for me, as far as my own personal experiences, I think as a Black woman, you go through life and you experience the microaggressions and the macroaggressions of racism, and you don't realize how much just kind of piles on, And I think for me, playing Lucky gave me the opportunity to just kind of like let all that out.
Yeah.
It was a safe space for me to just react in the ways that I probably couldn't when I experienced the racism in real time. And so, yeah, I really left it all on the table. And it was interesting because I had so much more in me than I realized. And that's why I've even said before that playing Lucky was really a blessing for me in disguise, because it was like, I didn't realize I had all that. I didn't realize how much I was bottling in.
Yeah.
And I was given the opportunity to just let it all out. So yeah, it was a lot of experiences, of just being made to feel uncomfortable in your own home, whether it be your own city, whether it be going to the, store down the street and like people following you through the store. You don't realize that you're now walking through the store with the items out.
Yeah, holding out. Yeah, exactly.
Holding out just so they don't, but that's not okay.
It's not normal. It's not normal.
It's not normal.
Exactly.
And so it's things like that I was just, that Lucky gave me the opportunity to just put my foot down and say enough is enough and react however,
it was enough. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
But I read, so it was the Bay Area you moved from London, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I was born in London, born in Tottenham, and then we moved to Manor Park, and then we moved to the Bay Area.
Yeah, because I saw that you'd said that the parallels between when you were a child and the racism you received, you said there was no one in school that looked like you.
Yeah.
And I really related to that, because a lot of people see me as a light-skinned Black man and they'll go, one of his parents might be white, when that's actually not true. But both my parents are darker than me and my sister. But my dad's mixed and my mum is Black. But what it was, when we moved from Liverpool to London, we were told we were different. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? Like, everybody's whatever shade, whatever it is. But when you said that, it really resonated with me, because I wanted to know that experience that you had, and especially with the kids that are in the show. Like, oh, kudos to them, Shahidi, Melody. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like even though you didn't get to play that child, I felt like you gave something to them. And did that happen a lot on set and talking about your experiences and stuff?
Yeah, you know, first of all, so I had already worked with Melody on Fatherhood.
Yes, I'd seen that. Yeah.
That before we shot them. And so when I found out she was cast, I was just so happy. But when I found out Shahadi was cast as well, I was just over the moon, because it was like, finally, like, you know, kids that actually look like
You, exactly.
you know what I'm saying? And so like, I knew at that moment that there would be sort of I don't want to say responsibility, but that there would be, yeah, I guess a responsibility for me to kind of be a sort of example for them.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I always kept that in the back of my mind throughout the whole filming process, is that just like, if I can make it through this, they can.
Yeah.
You know, and I would constantly check up on them and make sure they were good. There wasn't a lot that we could talk to them about, especially Melody.
Yeah, because she's so young, but so in tune.
Right, they're so smart and they figure things out. And so a lot of times I'll be like, go talk to your parents. Nope, not asking you. I'm not answering that question. But like, you know, for what they do ask and what they do pick up on, you know, I try my best to kind of be a safe space for them, you know. I guess a safe space that 8-year-old me would have wanted, 9-year-old me would have wanted, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and to talk about my experience kind of moving from London to America, it was not easy, you know. It's funny because when I moved, I knew that it would be a good thing for me. I knew that what my mom moving us was a good thing because it would expand our horizons. But I didn't expect that I would go there and feel this feeling of being different for the first time.
Yeah.
Here in London, like, I was hanging out with, you know, my neighborhood. It was all Nigerians, Indians. We were all kind of like
together, exactly.
Danish boat. But then, you know, I went to my first school in the Bay Area, and it was like, none of the kids looked like me. You know, I don't recall there being another Black student, but if there was another Black student, there wasn't another dark-skinned Black student, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of the kids were Nigerian, like, it was just me. And my sisters were in different grades, different classes, so it's like we couldn't really hang out with each other, because usually we just cling to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But I felt like I was on my own, you know? And so when I saw that scene where Shahadi's character goes to school for the first time.
Yes, I really felt that. I think everybody felt that. And it's such a relatable thing to so many people watching it, because that's why I said the horror isn't in the supernatural in this show. The horror is in the reality that we've all been through. And the parallels was just, I just don't even know how. Little Marvin, obviously, as a production company and what they were doing, I just don't know. I still watch it now, and I say to people, you're going to watch them, just to let you know, it's very triggering. Yeah. It's a very triggering show. So it's not an easy watch, but at the same time, it's a necessary watch.
You put it perfectly. And I think, you know, obviously I'm aware of a lot of the people being upset about the show. But what blows me is that most of the people who are upset about the show didn't watch it from beginning to end.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
I noticed that. Trust me, I looked at that and they didn't understand.
They didn't understand it.
Why? Like, just the whole, with Ashley and his character, and something that we never see, 2 cohabitating Black parents, first of all. 2 parents that love their children, 2 parents devoted to do whatever they can to give their children a better life. How many movies growing up did we see like that?
Right.
None. How many horror films did we see about people? None.
Right.
How many films did we see about racism? We saw a lot. We saw a lot. But we didn't see one where we got to fight back. We didn't see that. But then your character being kind of like bipolar, PTSD, like everything. But it wasn't. It was just the buildup of everyone's pain. And that's what I felt like. I felt like my mothers, my grandmothers, my great-grandmothers, were all coming through you in a television show. And I was like, this is the first time I've ever felt this before. I get the message in Ashley, like, bro, seriously, like, this is unbelievable. Like, this is crazy. And like,
as a Black woman, oftentimes you get in those situations and you're sort of muzzled, right? Because you have the fear of being seen as aggressive or the Black woman. And you really water down your true feelings, you know, whereas other people have the freedom and the space to react as a human should.
Exactly.
As a Black woman, you have to kind of like swallow it and just, you know, you don't want to ever be called crazy or called labeled difficult or ever be labeled anything other than pleasant or whatever. You know, I think that's true for women. I think especially for Black women. I think it's maybe born out of a fear of us. But, you know, whatever it was born out of, it really cuts your legs from under you. It really makes you feel powerless in situations where you shouldn't. And again, it really just gave me the space to just be angry, be broken, be in love, laugh, cry, whatever. It gave me that space, and I didn't know how much I needed it.
No. And honestly, it came through on the screen. But something you said earlier really reminded me of something my dad always said to me growing up, and my mum. He said, whenever a Black man or Black woman's on television, they are representing not one, but all of us. And I used to get really frustrated because you'd see who they would pick to put on the TV shows. But then the assumption was that we were all like that particular Black person. And I felt that this show was the first time I'd seen something where I went, I'm seeing real representation of men that I love growing up. My uncle, my mum's brother, like Ashley was like my mum's brother, my grandfather, they all in the army and they all suffered from PTSD. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, these are people that I needed to see growing up. And I felt that you representing Black women as a whole, I think it was one of the first times where there was moments where I felt that every single woman could see this and be like, I'm uncomfortable watching this, but at the same time, she's talking to me. And it was just, and I can't even, I tried to describe it to people to say, you have to watch it for this reason, but it's really difficult because people are like, I don't like horrors. I said, no, take that out of your head. Just, this is healing. There's a lot of healing in this. There's a lot of healing. Like, and at the end, I felt healed. I felt like there was a change. I felt like there's a change coming. The change wasn't waiting for other people to change. The change was us changing, and the fact that we don't have to sit here and take this shit. That's literally how I felt. I was like, why should we wait for you to catch up on what humanity is? The humanity is in the fact that if we are nice people and we are trying to build something better, you're going to be nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you, but it's nothing to do with color at the end of the day. This isn't anything else other than the fact that you're choosing to hate.
It's really deeper than I feel like racism and sexism and colorism, it's really deeper than just, oh my gosh, Black people, whatever. I think it's based on fear, for one, and it's also based on a self-hatred.
100%.
Because there's no way that a person can truly love themselves and be hateful towards someone else. There's no way. You can use whatever excuse you would like to use. Oh, they're in a different class than you. Oh, they're from this neighborhood, or they have that skin color, or they're from that country. But at the end of the day, it all stems from a self-hatred. You know what I mean? That they're refusing to heal from. And so I think that was also beautifully portrayed in the show too. You know, for people who haven't watched it, I'm going to spoil it.
Oh yeah, spoil it. I'll tell you now. I'll tell you one thing now. The audience that's going to be watching this, they've seen them. Trust me, they've seen it.
But like with Betty, right? You get to see just the ugliness of her hatred, right? But then you also get a glimpse into why she is that way.
Exactly, the why.
And that she actually hates herself.
Yeah, it's not out of
Right.
People aren't born hating people.
Right. And they portray that in a way, or it's portrayed in a way that doesn't excuse her. It doesn't give her sympathy. It just tells truth that, hey, as ugly as this thing is, it's not about you.
Exactly.
It's not about me being more proper. It's not about me, holding an item in a store too close to my pocket. It's about that person and their own fears and their own self-hatred, And so, yeah, I think that was another lesson that I learned during this process, because it's so easy to, really take it in and take it personally. It's hard not to.
Yeah, it's difficult. During your filming, one thing I wanted to say, because the writing is just out of this world, did you get a lot of rewrites during filming? Like when you're actually filming, there might have been a moment where they go, actually, they'll write something in because they start to remember, because the way something's tied in together was so perfect. I was like, did they rewrite during this? Because it's just, it seems like it evolved.
It definitely evolved. I will say that. We would definitely get like draft after draft after draft. But when it came to like the day of, because I know like I've experienced sometimes on set where there'll be like, we'll be on set on the day of and they'll be like, actually, we changed this line or whatever. And that's happened to me a few times on the show. But for the most part, what I love is that they would just let us play, right?
Yeah.
Like little Marvin would really he really trusted us in that way, where he gave us a space. He gave us a skeleton, right, of what was to be said. But he trusted that we understood the vision enough and we understood our characters enough to where we would, if we came in and ad-libbed and we said this and we reacted that way, it was like, yep, that's true. Take it, print it,
That's awesome.
And I really, really loved that. Like I felt so free as an artist to just kind of just be in the moment, This isn't a direct example, but an example was, so the slap where my backhand, the daylight Betty.
Yeah.
Right? So
that was a good slap, by the way. I think we all did it at the same time, but I wasn't expecting it. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I need right now.
Right. So the way it was originally written was that she would say that. And I would, like Melody, or not Melody, but Gracie Jean, I would like, pacify her, and I'll go over and like just give her a slap like a regular bloop. But when I read that, and this was before we started filming it, I was like, nah, I need to give her a backhand, like a really
more disrespect. It's more ferocious.
Dirty backhand. I was like, no, I need to go and give her a backhand.
Get more power as well.
Exactly. So I told them that. And I think I just mentioned, I didn't even really like, say much. And the next rewrite I got, it was like she backhands the living daylights out of her. Like, I was like, yep, that's where it is.
Yeah.
So I just played it however I wanted to, and I just love the fact that they were listening, and they trusted us in that way.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trust. There was a quote actually from Little Marvin that I'm going to read, which this, to me, just from what you said, speaks volumes. He said, it was about the writing process. He said, the most true thing is what scared us the most. That's what he said was he said that's how they chose how to write certain things. They said, don't think of the supernatural things. They said, whatever feels the truth is what is the scariest thing. And and I feel like the scariest scenes were the things that I felt like, I know this happened. I know that happened, especially the bag scene. Like, oh my God. Like, I remember I literally was like, it's been a long time since I've gone like this, like that in a show. And I was wondering as an actor, an actress, like when you read that to start off with, like, were you scared? Were you like, this is too much? Or were you like, this is necessary? Like, what went through your head? Because like, reading that on paper is completely different to seeing it.
Right.
Completely different.
So I kind of knew about that scene when I was cast, right?
Okay. They knew it was. They knew it was like, whoa.
I knew what was going to go down because it was actually one of my audition scenes. I had to,
You
Not
did that
that.
as an audition
No,
scene?
not that the theme, but the aftermath of it.
Okay, yeah, but that was just as intense.
Right,
The
right.
whole thing's intense. It's just like tense. Like the shoulders are like this the whole time.
Right. I was exhausted by the end of it. I was really, really exhausted. And I'm so glad we did it right before our holiday break.
Oh, you must have had a great vacation after. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, a vacation after that, like
I slept the entire time.
you must have like it's exhausting. But you can see that your performance wasn't just genuine. That you were like you were her.
Yeah.
That you were that character.
And honestly, like little Marvin hit it right on the head. Where like, because people have asked me, you know, was I scared on set, or what scared me the most on set? Did the monsters scare me? Did the ghosts or the spirits scare me? And I was like, to be honest with you, what was most scary on set are the real situations where the real people, you know, acting out very real things. That was the most scary. What was most scary for me is seeing the things that were happening then and putting it right against what's happening right now in our world.
The parallels were
terrifying, you know, so he hit it right on the head.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing. Timing is everything. I say whether it's you going to America, meeting the right person, wanting to be an actress, it's like timing is everything. I feel like everybody gets something based on timing and hard work. You can work as hard as you want to, but the timing's not right, it's not your time. That's why I always say to people, it's not your time. But keep going, it will be given to you. But with this, I felt like the timing of this show coming out, the parallels of society, racism, and what was going on in the White House, it was just like, how did they know? It was like, but then at the same time, I was like, this has been happening the whole time. It's just that we were put in an heightened situation where we were all locked in, where we got to take a break from work, but look at the world in a different perspective. But then you gave us something that we already knew, but then it was like, wait a second, is this bad? Yes, it is. It is actually this bad.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the timing of it was actually perfect. I think that's probably part of the reason why a lot of people had a hard time watching it.
Yeah,
it almost got a little too real, you know. And I think that like it's still important to tell the story anyway, because there's no way that we can move forward if we don't acknowledge where we've been and where we are. And I think that was at least the heart that I went into the process of filming with. It's just like, tell the truth. Tell the truth. And I think that's also what little Marvin was saying, was that, you know, like in situations where they were writing and developing, you know, episodes and scenes, they didn't look at, okay, what's the most scandalous thing we can tell? What's going to scare people? What's going to, no, what's the most truthful thing?
Yeah. And it was, you
know what I mean? And that was the most scary. And so I'm just so proud of us that we have the courage to go there and say it with our chest, you know what I'm saying? And not back down and really stand by what the story we were telling. You know, I'm just really, really proud of us. And to this day, like, people come up to me all the time and just like share their own stories. They share gratitude. They just like, I've not met one person who has come at me on some crazy stuff. Like, every single person has been so just kind and appreciative of the work, and just like appreciative of us telling the truth. Many different generations, you know. And what gets me is when like older generations come up to me and they're like, when I watched it, I was like, yes. That for me is it.
Yeah, you can't, I always say again, it's not your defining role that's going to be the best role you've ever played, because I feel like you've got so much more to give. Because as seeing your performance and seeing your art, I know there's another role that you're going to bring this energy. But the difference is like the energy for this is going to create the energy for others to follow.
Yeah.
Because you've created a blueprint now for me. You've created something for me now where someone says, "Oh, someone did a really good performance in that movie." I'm comparing it to you. Like I'm literally comparing it to your performance. I used to always compare people's performances to Angela Bassett's Tina Turner. I used to always say to everybody, if it ain't gonna be that,
It
because
ain't
to
that.
me, she is Tina Turner. And people are like, why do you always say that movie? There's loads of black. I said, no. Have you watched her performance in that movie? I said, there's so much pain but at the same time, there's so much things that when you know of women that have gone through that type of abuse as well, and you see the parallels of just how difficult it is to play something that's close to that person's home as well.
Mm-hmm.
So wanted to check with you, like, I don't know if this has happened to you, but have you had any paranormal experiences?
Mm.
Anything, like we're talking seeing a ghost or family stories that you may have had, anything like that at all?
I'm a really spiritual person, so I actually do believe in just kind of what one would call paranormal activity. I just believe in like spirits being present and like really just kind of all of that. Um, and so, oh, off the top of my head, I feel like there have been times in my life where I've encountered people who, on surface, might have been people, but I actually think they were angels. There was a time when and I was actually just telling my sister about this. Um, I was in my senior year at Howard, and I was about to graduate, and I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to jump into acting and jump into being a professional artist. But I was scared because that would be the time where if you weren't going to go down that route, you would get an internship, you would do this, you would do that. And I just was really feeling impatient. Like I really felt like I just wanted things to happen, quickly, like you were saying about timing.
Yeah,
And I really put a lot of pressure on myself to just like have it already. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like have something lined up already, but I didn't have that. So I was constantly going back and forth to New York for auditions while I was in DC. And this time I had an audition in Philly. And so I went up there and I'd never been. And it was like a commercial audition. And I went there with a really, really heavy heart, right? And so I was doing my audition and there was another actor there, really pleasant man, right? And so I was really rushing to go get the last bus because if I didn't get that bus back to DC,
Yeah.
it was a wrap. And I didn't have money
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah,
was,
you won't
I
be
was
like, I've
broke.
got no
So I
B
was
and
like,
B,
I
I've got no
just get that
Airbnb
bus.
money right now.
Right. And so I was like stressed out and I started asking him, like, do you know the way to go back to the stop or whatever the heck? I was sure that I missed the bus. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll walk you. And so as we're walking, he's just like encouraging me and like just like really speaking words to me that just resonated. It didn't feel like, when people speak to you and they just say stuff and you mows off,
Yeah, surface,
then
yeah.
when someone says something to you, it just sticks.
Yeah.
It feels different. So he's just talking to me as if he knew my every single thought. And I was like, okay, but I felt very comfortable with him at the same time.
And you didn't even know him. Yeah.
Didn't even know this man, right? And so he walks me to the bus stop. The bus was literally sitting there waiting when I got there. And so said bye-bye, turned around, he was completely gone. And I remember afterwards being like, that's so weird. And I looked him up, nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be. Yeah.
And this is supposed to be an
Similar.
actor. At the very least, he would show up on his agencies or, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like he would show up somewhere, nowhere to be found.
And you've never ever encountered them ever since.
Never, nowhere to be found. I don't even
See,
know if I remember him actually going into the audition room.
can you remember what they were wearing and what they looked like? The reason why I say this is because I've had very, very similar experiences where something has been said to me and I've been sitting on a bus talking to someone, and but everything they're saying is right in line with
Yeah,
everything I'm going through. But I'm like, why would I be talking to this stranger
like
like about
everything.
this?
But
But
you feel so comfortable.
yeah,
I don't remember what he was wearing, but I remember that he was a black man. He was lighter skin. He had a bald head. He was probably like in his I would say like I would say his mid 40s.
mm,
Um, And I just remember him having a very pleasant face, like him just being, he just felt very warm, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even know if we exchanged names.
Yeah, it was just fluid. It just
Fluid,
kept on.
it
Yeah,
was
exactly.
hit on me. It wasn't any kind of weirdness.
Yeah.
It was just like,
He just wanted to give you information to, it was
yeah,
like he was tapping into,
yeah,
you're going to be this person, but don't worry,
yes,
take your
yeah,
time. Like, this
yes.
is what it's going to be.
Like you're good, like it's gonna happen. And obviously I couldn't see years later where I am now.
Yeah, but
But
he
until
did. But
that
you felt
time,
like he did.
he did.
I love that. I love stuff like that.
And I never forgot that man. And I promise you, I looked him up a few times, couldn't find him.
I would say I hope you find them, but I honestly think when you do meet that person again, it might be in the next life. It's one of those, like, because I think we always cross paths with people. Like my nan, about 2 weeks before she passed away, I remember she said like, "Oh, you're gonna have a baby real soon," and I said, "I'm 23, like I'm not gonna have a baby." And then she died, and like literally 2 weeks later, my wife was pregnant. It was just like things like that, and I'm like, how the hell did she know this? Like I was like, this is crazy. And like I remember when I had to I moved to New York when I was 17 because I wanted to go to high school out there, and it didn't pan out. But I remember being really upset, and I was on this Greyhound going from New York, which had to go to DC, funny enough, to DC. And I was sitting on this bus, and I was like on this bus by myself, and I was really embarrassed and upset because I had to come back home and tell everybody that it didn't pan out. I got to play basketball back in the UK. But there was this guy on the bus, and he just started talking to me. Same kind of vibe. But you know, it's crazy. Can't remember what he looks like. I don't remember what the weather was like outside. All I remember is someone saying to me and talking to me saying, do you know what? Like everything happens because it's supposed to. And he was just saying like, whatever's going on right now, it's not a reflection of who you are and who you're going to be, but what's happening now is a reflection of who you're going to become because you need to go through things in order for things to work for you. But I remember sitting there going, why is this guy saying this to me? But when I got off the bus, it was a 4-hour bus ride. You've been on a Greyhound, so you know it's not a nice bus. It's not comfortable. It's cold as well.
And you didn't tell him much about yours.
I didn't tell him nothing. I just said, I'm going back home to London. And he was just like, was saying, don't. But I felt like, did I have this worry on my face? But I wear my heart on my sleeve. So my kind of mood, I feel like I put out an aura of how I'm feeling. But I'm 99.9% happy person. So I've always said my 0.1 is pretty much bad. So I always think maybe he just said like, this kid like needs someone to talk to, but he didn't have to say anything to me.
That specific thing.
Yeah. And when I got home, wasn't embarrassed, just got on with it. I had a life-changing decision I had to make when I got back. I ended up getting injured when I got back, had a knee injury, and then I was told that I probably wouldn't be able to play basketball anymore. And I ended up quitting playing basketball. No one could believe it. And everyone was like, why did you quit? I said, because things happen for a reason. And I never looked back. And it was probably the best decision I ever made. And I feel like without that conversation, would I have changed my mind? So it's kind of like, and funny, we wouldn't have been talking now.
Facts.
So, and that's how it goes, because my path would have been still playing ball. I probably would have been in Europe.
Yeah.
And I might have been doing a podcast, and I might not have even watched the show. I might have been somewhere that didn't allow me to watch the show. So I always say, like, to all the things that happen and events that take place in your life, whether they're good, bad, terrible, they ultimately is all about growth.
Facts.
It's all about growth.
That guy was definitely a spirit.
Yeah, I do love your story though, because I feel like that's part of your movie. That's part of your biography, like right there.
Like, yeah, and no, seriously, like I have moments like that, and now I will be like, oh, that was a spirit, that was an angel. Now I'm comfortable enough to be like, oh no, that wasn't an actual, but that was like a spirit. You know what I'm saying? But before I was kind of like, I was still weirded out. That's why I Googled him 15 million times.
There's going to be this guy, light-skinned guy, actor, bald head, 40s. It's like, everyone's like, I don't know who this guy is. Like,
who this guy is? He had such warm energy. And I remember like, we were late. I was late for not even I was really late for the bus, but we were walking slowly. We were like, kind of just like.
Yeah, it wasn't hurrying, fast walking.
It wasn't rushing. In fact, I actually kind of remember like just certain sites in that down the road we were going down in Philly, like I remember that because we weren't rushing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I got there and the bus was sitting there waiting, like crazy.
That is absolutely amazing. I wanted to ask you as well, what in terms of moments on the show,
Yeah.
what was there a moment when you went, give me a second, and you had to like compose yourself because you went too deep? Did you have a moment where you were like, I'm in character, but
I need a moment.
This is too much right now. I just need a break. And I need to go back in? Because I felt like there was moments where I was like, I need to pause this.
Yeah.
Because I need a break.
Yeah.
I needed a break to decompress what was happening. So did you go through that at all?
Yeah, a few times. So one, episode 5, like there was no way. I literally told Janixa Bravo, who's incredible, the director, and I told LM, I just told everyone, like, I can only give you this scene, the rape scene, from top to bottom.
Once.
Like, I actually gave like 3 times. We landed on, I said,
I thought you did that once. I honestly thought you did that once.
We landed at like 4.
Yeah.
And literally I said, this is what I can give to you. And she was like, bet, I respect that. So what we did is we did it from top to bottom. And we, after that, just shot bits and pieces, which worked for me. But when we did it top to bottom, during every single take, I would go into one room and break down, and the guys would go into another room and break down.
Yeah, because I was going to say, for that, people don't realize, I was saying on both sides, you've got good people. They're not enjoying this. They're going somewhere completely different too. And
the beautiful thing that Janixa did is that, so I think we shot that scene starting on that Monday, and on that Sunday, she got us together for a sort of rehearsal, but it wasn't really a rehearsal. It was more so, and she said this, like, it was more so to get us comfortable with the moves and the scene and everything, but also to get us comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
It was to kind of see each other outside of that place. So we realize, like, we're people.
Yeah, because it would have been a bit deeper if you came in as strangers. That would have been a bit too hard.
Imagine showing up on set and being like, okay, ready, go.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate her so much for that, because it really, really helped. Like, I was able to like learn more about their families and like their lives and like all that stuff. And it was just beautiful. And then we got to the scene, and in between each take, not only were we having breakdowns, but we're also taking care of each other as well. Like, you know, I think there was one time where one of the guys like accidentally like stepped on my toe, and it was like, are you okay? Are you okay? You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, we took care of each other, you know? But it was hard, you know, it was really, really hard for us to tell the truth of that situation. But I know I did, and I believe they did as well. I think we all went into it knowing that we didn't want to water it down. We wanted to tell the truth. We didn't want to make this kind of like, we knew that someone's real lived experience was attached to the story that we were telling. Yeah. So we didn't want to water it down. In respect and honor for those people. Yeah. We needed to tell the truth all the way. And so, so there was that. And then also, I would say the scene where Lucky comes out of the house with a gun and is waving at the neighbors. I'm very protective of my voice because I also sing. So I said, and I wanted a sort of scream that I knew I would have to kind of damage
your throat. Voice. Yeah, you wouldn't use your diaphragm.
Yeah, I wouldn't use my diaphragm. It's not going to sound very.
It's not going to sound right. Yeah.
I wanted it to sound like just like the hairs on your head, you know, or your arms stand. Yeah. So I told the director that day, Nelson Craig. I told him, I was like, now this scene, I can only give you the full scream. Yeah. Like, I think I told him also 3. Yeah, I think I said also 3. So just let me know when you're like in my face. Yeah. Because when we're like far away, I won't do it. I'll do it like, you know, half voice. But when you're in my face, I will give it to you. And so he was like, okay, bet. So we literally shot that scene like when he was far away, when the cameras were far away. I would just, you know, be miming it or be kind of doing it and doing all the movements. And then when he got in closer, I would let it rip. That, and then also at the end, where I come back into the house, you just let me know when you're ready for that, because I can only give it to you a few times.
3 times, yeah.
And I would do it on days where I knew that I didn't have heavy dialogue the next day.
Clever.
Like before a weekend or something like that.
Thought of like a real singer. That's exactly like I sing too, so I know exactly like the ginger, the honey and ginger and lemon. You just know certain things.
I was like, I would put like cough drops in my I was going in, because it's all your instrument, it's all your body, everything. And so but I knew the kind of sound I wanted.
Yeah.
And I knew what I wanted it to portray. So that actually goes on a question you asked earlier about, in so many words, like, did they kind of let us kind of play around, or
you seem like you had some good freedom, like.
Right. So in that last scene, when I scream at the neighbors, originally there were words in there, like I would come in and I would yell at them and say something. And I saw that, and I think on the day I was like, no, I think me just screaming at them, that will say everything I needed to say.
It was. And I thought they enhanced your scream, but you've just told me now that I know you're a singer as well, I know that was all you. I
honestly, I was like, I'm going to just literally I'm not going to say like, you're terrible. I'm not going to yell at them. I'm literally just going to let her rip. And I feel like that will be the moment.
It was.
And so we did that. And the director, Ty West, again, really just was like, then that's what we're going with. And it was like,
yes, thank God.
So we did that, and that's what that's what made it to the final cut, which was really amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching it again. But I have to watch it. It's one of those, I've got to watch it again. And what was your favorite scene? Something where you were surprised where you filmed it? Because a lot of people that don't know the world of film don't realize that the camera angles, multiple takes, sometimes you do something 20 times, 30 times. What was the scene where you were like, you're getting in every single time you were doing it, you were getting better? Was there a scene where you're like, I really like this? Because it's a tough movie, a tough show to have a scene like that in, but I felt like there was some of them.
For me, I think the scene that comes to mind is the scene where I'm escaping out of the mental asylum.
Yes.
And I feel I call it the Who Can Survive America scene.
Yeah, because it wasn't about this. That's another thing, you've just said it. That wasn't about you escaping the asylum. That's where I said you have to watch the whole show, and that's what you were saying, because that was about you escaping the actual grips of racism in America. I was like, it's so much bigger. I was like, I'm glad you said that. That
scene for me, I actually I have it on my phone and I just watch it every now and again when I want to be reminded. I really feel like that scene it felt so good. I can't explain it. It was just like, I felt like Lucky was born.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like at that moment, nothing could touch her. Nothing could touch her. She was good. And then even to the end of that scene where she is about to get out and sees the security guard, the black man.
Yeah.
There's a moment where it's is he gonna let her go? Is he not? He's gonna let her go.
Yeah.
It was just the universal head nod.
Yeah.
I was it gave everything, even the subtle parts of in that scene of me also freeing another
somebody who was going through the same thing, who was going through the treatment. And obviously the flashbacks from her earlier on in the show as well. Yeah. That's what I meant about the writing. That's why I was asking, did they come back and forth? Because sometimes I was like, this is too thought out. I've never seen writing this tight. It's like a song. I was like, it's like a perfect song.
Exactly. I felt like the writing literally was like poetry. And I've said this, but I'm so glad that just watching it, you can kind of sense how beautiful the writing was, because it was really like that. It just flowed. Little Marvin is so gifted. He really.
Are you doing any more projects with Little Marvin? Oh, you don't have to answer that, but I'm actually like in my head, I'm like I'm online like typing like, is she doing any more Deborah? Like, yeah, I've seen it again. But do you know what? To me, things happen when they're supposed to happen, and at some point, you'll reconnect on a road together.
I would work with little Marvin as many times as he'll allow. Like, he's not getting rid of me at this point. Like, literally, like,
no way,
not getting rid of me at all. I'm there.
All right. Well, before you go, I do want to give a shout out to something people in the show, not just obviously Ashley, everybody that was involved, but the cinematographers of this show. I have to shout out because that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother hour. Like it's Chico Perez, Xavier Grobet, Suki Meden Civic. Now, I'm a massive camera shot person. I look at things like that. And when I watched this show, when you did the black and white and they did the old school, the church, that first opening scene, I said, it's one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen in my life. And a lot of people don't understand things like that. And I don't get upset about it, but I'm like, you weren't watching the show. You know, you listen to songs and they're like, you did not hear that riff. You didn't hear that run. Like, it's kind of like that, like where you're like, you don't understand. And I just wanted to give them a shout out. I want to give a little Marvin a shout out. I want to give Shahidi, Melody, Allison, Pill, Ashley, Bashi. I'm just calling him Bashi because I'm going to get him on the show because I got a funny story for him. You know, when you said about when you saw that guy, he took a break from music and I saw him working for TFL when he was working, but he was working there because his music wasn't loyal. Me and him share that exact same experience. But he said to me, he won't even remember this. I said, what's going on, man? How you doing? How's it all going? He says, yeah, man, I got a plan. And he smiled at me, but he was like, he was wearing the jacket and he was like, I got a plan and like, wait until people see what's coming. That's what he said to me. But this is 10 years ago. Look at this dude now.
Yeah.
And that's why I say to people, trust the process.
Yes.
The process is real if you trust in yourself. No one else is going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And I always use him as an example to people. Like, if you believe in what you're going to do and you have a plan, doesn't matter how long it takes when you get there. It might appear to someone that you got there quickly, but they don't know the journey. Yeah. And you're just like that as well.
10-year overnight success.
Exactly. Right? And it was longer than that, but just that story about him. But thank you so much for coming on this show. I really appreciate you. Everybody from Ghosts of Our Past, including my sister, she's going to be happy with this interview, but she's going to be mad she wasn't in it. But I'm sure that we'll all hook up together at some point. Have a nice drink, and whatever it is, what we're going to do, we'll have fun. But thank you so much for coming on the show, and yes, we shall see you soon.
Thank you so much.